Hey everyone, welcome to the 489th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by our friend and our friend's dad, Anthony Ascenda, back in the mix, re-upped his Patreon. Thank you, Anthony. I'm Oren Kaplan.
And I'm Matt Unlow. As a tiny note, Anthony, he wrote to us, he said, hey, I thought I had been, patron this whole time. It turns out, who knows, maybe his credit card number changed, he moved or whatever. Your information changes.
It expired.
It expires. All of a sudden, you're not a patron anymore when you maybe think you are. So if you were like him, if you're like Anthony Ascenda, and you've been a patron for a long time and you're annoyed by all of these plugs, go double check that you're still pumping out a couple bucks a month. It's worth it.
Yeah. But if you do realize that you're a patron, don't cancel it. Don't cancel your patronage.
Don't cancel. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to say.
I know. Dude, do you know how much do you think I pay for Netflix a month? I just realized.
How much do you think I pay for Netflix a month?
Well, I pay $24.99 a month for Netflix. The same thing I was paying $9.99 a month for, it feels like 2 weeks ago.
Stop.
Of all the subscriptions that I would cut if I were you, dear listener, the Just Shoot It Patreon would not be one of them.
Not be one of them. I just emailed a bunch of location venues today.
Oh, yeah. For a live show that we're going to have. Did any of them email you back?
Not yet, but
they will.
But they will.
Because you are at the age, how old are you? 55?
I'm 55 years old.
At this old age, as you approach your sunset, it's like, you're like, oh, I need to say really old age so people realize that Oren's
it needs to be way older just so that people aren't like, wait, he looks kind of okay for 57.
You've finally learned after 40 years in this business that it works reaching out to people and just talking to them. So you're like on an outreach kick.
I am on an outreach kick.
And I feel like a lot of what we're going to talk about this episode, which is kind of getting jobs, meeting people, talking to people, recommending people, and kind of that, I guess, I know you probably wouldn't use this word, but a little bit of the networking, being good on a Zoom thing is what we're going to talk about. And I think basically almost all of this comes from a lot of this kind of outreach you've been doing recently.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you had for those listeners that don't really keep track, Matt did have a full-time job. I mean, you kind of had 5 full-time jobs in a row, and now you're kind of officially freelance.
Back in the game. Yeah, I'd been full-time back to back. I was agency side, and then I was show running for about 3 years, basically.
Yeah, maybe you were at Ellen before that. I mean, you're kind of been, I know
I was, Ellen was part-time. Ellen was
part-time, but you would go to the office every day.
You were but I would go to college. Yeah, I would go to College Humor every day too. I was still rolling calls and stuff like that. I just like to have an office because then they think of me for the next thing. People are just like, who should we hire right now? Oh, yeah, Enlo's just in that cubicle right there, talking about somebody else's project. Let's ask him to do it. That's why I would do it.
Okay.
And I saw Christopher Nolan there once
at Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
Or at College Humor.
At College Humor. Yeah, he and Jake and Amir go way back. No, he was on the Warner Brothers lot. That's how long ago it was, everyone.
Well, that's as literally the least surprising thing. It's like, I was at Universal Studios and I saw Steven Spielberg. It's like, that's where Steven Spielberg lives. I heard that if he leaves Universal Studios and stays up past midnight, he turns into an extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, I went to Universal Studios yesterday to watch our buddy Seth Worley's movie.
Oh, how was it?
It was sketchy at best.
Well, let's get back on track because this is it's my fault, but this is the sloppiest intro we've done in nearly 10 years.
Oh, come on. We've done way worse intros.
Great.
Yeah. Well, I didn't ask you your name and how you spell it and all that. Yeah,
sure. A lot of crowd work. In case you haven't figured it out, this is a catch-up episode between Oren and myself. We have some really exciting guests lined up. So,
our next guest is pretty rad.
I don't know. It's a murderer's row right now. I'm really, really excited for the people we have coming next. So I hesitate to say just because
people, they like us. They don't like the guests.
Sure. Anyway,
according to the people that
message us. But yeah, so we're kind of digging in to Oren's point. I had been, still freelancing a little bit here and there. I'd shoot a couple jobs a month or a year, but it wasn't my primary gig or main source of income. And then in basically the top of this year, give or take, I was like, oh, comedy commercials are back. Oren's killing it. Carlin's killing it. Tom Morris is killing it. My kid is like a full-on person now. Things have stabilized. The strikes are over. All of those the full-time
Yeah,
job
we got a
decisions
great
were
president and
sure.
everything's totally normal in
Sure. Things
California.
are still fraught, but it felt like there was more opportunity, basically. We're both old enough to remember the last writer's strike and how challenging that was for a lot of people. And so I thought, oh, this opportunity has come to showrun. I'll go do that for a season. Now here I am.
I mean, the
Back in the
freelance,
mix.
the freelance world is living in a life of constant fear that you'll never get hired again. And like, I feel like a lot of big life decisions, and, when we had Yuki Noguchi on to talk about like finances and stuff from the lens of a freelancer, that's all given that maybe you'll have amazing years and maybe you'll have horrible years and maybe AI will replace your entire industry. Or maybe, like I saw this headline today about how in Atlanta, Marvel left Atlanta and they took like 20,000 jobs with them. They took them to London. And it's like, imagine all the people that left LA to go to Atlanta to work on these Marvel movies. And now they're like, should we stay here or should we go somewhere else? I mean, I think Atlanta is still pretty good for production, but
sure.
But yeah, so as a freelancer, it's like living in fear. However, there is like, if you think about one job you book as a freelancer, the amount of money you make is probably like 2 months worth of a full-time job, right?
Yeah. It's funny. I was sort of offered a different job that was good and with a real company. And I remember I had been booking and like feeling pretty good, but still kind of at the beginning of this momentum sort of picking back up for me. And the job was not enough to sustain me. And they were like, yeah, you can still take gigs. Don't worry about it. But also it is a full-time job. And was like really conflicted.
Which means you can't be hunting for gigs or pitching on gigs or networking or meeting people or finding opportunities because you have a family, you have all this other stuff going on in your life. If you have to be in an office or at least available on Slack from like 9 to 5,
100%.
It's really hard to be doing all that other stuff, like the hanging out and making opportunities and traveling.
Yeah. And so, I don't think I've said it on the podcast, but I said to myself, basically at the beginning of this year, that if I send 5 emails a day, if I email 5 people, cold outreach every day, I'll be fine.
And you just start, right? Like 1 at gmail.com, 2 at gmail.com, 3 at gmail.com.
It's 1A, 1B, all this. So
yeah. So, I mean, how do you find, who are these 5 people you email a day? How do you find these emails?
Well, I've always kept a spreadsheet of like people that I've worked with, like, producers where I connected with them, or agency people, or just, kind of like the people that you meet along the way. And, your network tends to grow by getting lucky early on with like a few key introductions of people who like your work or believe in you, or you get along with really well.
Is this strictly people that can hire you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's kind of different classifications for like Hollywood people versus commercial people, development people, editors, so like there's crew, all of that stuff. But like this list specifically is just like the people who are recommending me for jobs. So basically producers, be that creative producers, line producers, EPs, that sort of people. Not really agency people, actually.
So you're emailing 5 people a day based on a list that you have kept over the years?
And then I began growing it. I sat down with our good pal, Tony Franklin, and he was like really good at like being on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And sort of just evolved my own methods of researching, of just like finding people in different markets, where I hadn't made inroads yet. And
when you say different markets, like someone on the East Coast that is like doing regional work on the East Coast.
Yeah. Like, for example, I'm flying to Canada at the end of this week.
51st state, no passport needed.
That's right. And that was from this method, basically. I found a company where I was like, oh, they do really cool work. I really like them. Who could I reach out to? I reached out to the EP. I said, hey,
wait, so this job is directly from just like a LinkedIn message you sent to someone that you did not know personally?
Correct. However, it's important to remember, 1, my reel's in good shape. I've got, a handful of solid spots. Patrick Schwarzenegger is like in the kind of the waning days of that White Lotus heat, but like I reached out to them a few months back when like White Lotus was on the tip of everyone's tongues, and he's in the front of my website. And
I was dropping some White Lotus.
All of the other spots are really strong too. So, but then you nurture that relationship for a few months. They started putting me up for jobs. We got close on a couple. This was the one that hit, basically.
That's awesome. And I think Tony Franklin, like back in the day, he was probably doing more emailing. I'm assuming now LinkedIn is a little bit more like the easy way to message people.
So just in marketing, the way that people kind of used to, I don't think it's actually really, this isn't a useful paradigm anymore, but it used to be that you'd have what you call the top of funnel, the people who know you the least, who are the least aware of you. And then mid funnel was people who sort of had some awareness and affinity. And then there were people who were really likely to close at the bottom of the funnel, who it was just like, I need to convert these people. And so you're kind of, there's multiple stages of awareness of a brand or a product or a business that you're working through. So I decided to say, okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is connect with someone on LinkedIn, just friend request them basically. And it's also important to remember that like LinkedIn is having a moment right now because Microsoft owns LinkedIn. They don't have their own social network. So they're pouring a ton of resources into trying to grow it to be competitive with the Metas and Googles and, all of that.
Interesting.
So,
you've never used Word with Friends?
I've never used it. I'm a Wordle guy.
Oh, that's Microsoft.
Yeah, gotcha.
So
I'm a huge Teams guy. Just kidding. No one is. But so anyway, so there's a little bit of right place, right time.
Yeah. There's no Matt in Teams.
There's no Matt in Teams. Somehow there's soft in Teams though. Anyway, so if they accept my request, that's the first inkling of like, oh, now the relationship is a tiny bit warmer. And then, okay, like who do we have in common? Who do we know? What work do we have in common? What are those other touch points? And then slowly it would work my way down. Like, oh, okay, they would respond. So I'd find them on email. I'd email them and say, hey.
Oh wait, you email them like from your email account.
Once we became friends on LinkedIn, I would be like, I'd take it off LinkedIn immediately. I'm not, no one likes a LinkedIn messenger.
Oh, really?
That's spam. Yeah, for sure. So then I just be like, oh, hey, what's up? Then they've got my websites right there. I'm a real person.
In your signature.
In my signature, all of that stuff.
And you don't think that, so if somebody friended you on LinkedIn and you had no idea who they are, it's like filmmaker, director, writer. You're like, okay, maybe they listen to Just Shoot or whatever, I'll accept their request. And then an hour later, you get an email from them.
Oh, well, I'd do it 2 weeks later.
Oh, okay. And in the email, do you say, hey, we're friends on LinkedIn. We're connected on LinkedIn. I just want to say I love your work. Whatever you say.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Cool. Like, oh, hey, Oren and I are friends. I know you guys have worked together. I wanted to say hi.
Oren, I just want to let you know Oren's not available for any job. So please just forward the job opportunities to me.
Yeah.
I'm starting to explain a lot.
I do want to clarify. I am not, yes, of course I'm looking for work, but I'm not asking for work and I'm not pitching myself for work. I find that has been really helpful. If I go out with like, hey, like check out, these are the 3 the greatest things and like Emmy nomination, like you leading with credits or like multiple links or any of that stuff, that tends to, at least for me, fall a little flat. So for me, I found a less is more approach has been really helpful. I will literally say like, hey, we connected on LinkedIn. I wanted to say hi. I think we have a few friends in common.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
I think that's really smart. So it's like really way more than looking for job opportunities. You are like physically building your network. You're like in Minecraft, like with the pickaxe.
Yeah, brick by brick.
Building the network. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just goes back to like what Dana Balkin told me, which is your work's not bad, but nobody knows you.
Yeah. And so I said to myself, okay, well, where are places that there's some work that I haven't been working, right? So I'm looking at other markets, Canadian reps, international reps, all of that stuff. And the other thing is that it takes about 3 to 6 months for this stuff to start paying off. I was going to say, it's been a long time, Oren, since both of us have been this busy simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like,
well, most people think we're the same person.
Sure. Most people think I'm Oren.
You're the Clark Kent and I'm the Superman.
Yeah. Neither of us wear glasses. It's just like, how much gray is in there?
I had LASIK. Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're both busy. We're both busy for very, I think, different reasons. But I just kind of realized like, oh, I'm not going to be worried about these emails making me look uncool or too sweaty or whatever. I'm going to reach out to people that I think do good work. And I'm going to know that most of the time they're not going to write back. But honestly, surprisingly, there's way more people that wrote back than I expected.
That's awesome. There is this like weird job especially in advertising, but I think it kind of exists like across all businesses that would require any sort of filmmaking or videography or anything, which is being the person that finds the director that is willing to work with you.
Yeah, I think also you find the most success in any of this when you're bringing what they're looking for.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right. So like I can't go to an agency and pitch myself necessarily because too many stars have to align. But production companies that maybe don't have enough comedy in their roster, they are seeing opportunities that they have to pass up because they don't have someone like me around to pitch. And that wasn't always the case, right? That's why I went and got a job for a minute. But now comedy's back. We're seeing major board flow.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, obviously, like 2020 was a rough year for comedy,
Sure.
but I do think that, yeah, to some degree, that's true. Like comedy's back and everyone's looking for comedy directors and comedy directors are working more. But I also think that you, Matt Enlow,
100%,
have also learned this system that maybe you weren't that interested in like 10 years ago. And you've figured it out in a way that A, you know what to show people, B, you've realized you've kind of cracked the code on how to interact with people. And you're like, I'm sure half the people listen to our podcast that come from more like the film narrative side, if we have any of those people left, like don't know the difference between a creative director and a copywriter and, you know, an art director and a producer and an agency. And like, those are things that we didn't know either until we kind of started getting hired by those people.
I think the other big unlock for me, honestly, is realizing that my writing, and stop me if I've said this on the show already, but like,
stop, just kidding.
Sure, that's true for everything I've said. But my writing is a thing that helps me stand out. And so I'm making that more of the thing that I'm marketing. Like, hey, I'm a good director, but also like I can develop things with people who have, you know, their studio is in-house or their creative is in-house, or they need somebody who's a little bit more of a hybrid, which again seems obvious. And especially in comedy, like so many people, like we can name so many really, really gifted writers/directors for sure. But like leading with that.
Yeah. It is funny when you hear someone pitch you and they're like, by the way, he's also knows how to edit. And you're like, yeah, dude, every director knows that.
Yeah, of course. What do you mean?
That directing is basically like editing, but you're just like gathering the pieces to edit together. But anyhow, yeah, no. So it's cool. I think all of this is a setup to say that we've both kind of been talking to people, and you had some interesting meetings recently about some job opportunities that you thought we could talk about.
Yeah. So first up, I was talking with, I go to these like little meetings basically where this company kind of just like workshops like pressure points and has guest speakers and all of this stuff. And they were talking about the vibe check and realized we haven't ever talked about that on the show. So the vibe check
I think
call,
it's kind of newer.
Maybe we just had a different name for it before. We've definitely had like briefing calls for a long time, but a vibe check.
I mean, a general meeting isn't like that different from a vibe check.
Correct. But the big difference being that a vibe check, there's typically a very specific job in mind, whereas in general, there maybe is a specific job, maybe not. But either way, I think that the takeaway of this conversation, I think, is really, really valuable because.
Well, wait, so what is a vibe check?
What is a vibe check? I'm going to ask you. What you tell me what a vibe check is.
So the vibe checks that we've both experienced recently relate to when somebody has a job, a potential job for someone, let's say, and it can be for anything. I'm sure it's probably way more common for writers than for directors, but it's when you have a job and you want to hire someone. And so usually like the first step, especially in advertising, is you start looking at reels. Like you start looking at work. Like what have they done before? Let's watch trailers. Let's watch commercials. Let's watch short films or things. And then you watch a bunch of people's stuff. You know, a producer of some sort sends you 100 people or 10 people, whatever, however much they send you. In the commercial world, the reps are sending you stuff. And then traditionally you would kind of narrow that down to like 3 people. And you would say, okay, I'm going to meet with Matt, Tom, and Carlin. And we're going to have them tell them what this project is. And then I'm going to have them put together a pitch. And then they'll come back and pitch it. And then I'll choose one of them. And I think what happened a lot of times from this is 2 of the 3 people, because I mean, a lot of directors, directing is mostly about making decisions, right? And a lot of people that are really good at making decisions are not that nice to hang out with because they have strong opinions and they don't like other people's opinions, or they think other opinions are wrong, and they will fight with people. And that's why they make really good work, because they have like strong convictions. But a lot of times people that are going to hire these directors don't want to be fighting with people all the time. So if you have meetings with 3 people, they can give you 2 pitches, but 2 of them are kind of assholes, you're kind of stuck just choosing either an asshole or the person that is nice, but their pitch isn't as strong. So in a perfect world, I think for these people, like, hey, why don't we actually meet these people first? Just get their personalities, get their vibe, see if they're cool, see if we're on the same wavelength, kind of like a general meeting, but for the specific project. And we'll meet 10 people or 5 people or however. And then from those 10 that we'll choose based on their reels originally, like we know they do good work, we'll narrow down a list of 10. We'll meet with all of them. Then from that 10, the 3 coolest people who we just feel like are either smart, or be comfortable, or are open to collaboration or listening to us, those are the people we'll have pitch. And then we'll know we'll have 3 amazing choices. So enter the vibe check. And this is what you experienced recently.
Yeah. And, I think we've been on these a bunch. So it's this company called Departure.us. Anyway, the thesis statement of the whole thing was like, hey, a vibe check is a misleading term for what this is. This is a sales meeting, just like every meeting that you ever have with any person is a sales meeting. And while, yes, they are checking to make sure that you're not a jerk, I think it's also an opportunity for you to show up with ideas. And I think you and I are both pretty interested in showing up prepared and showing our enthusiasm, and not enforcing a vision or a set of ideas onto a project, but coming up with stuff to talk about that shows your enthusiasm, right? Like that's kind of in a certain sense, more important than what you're pitching. It's like that you're pitching with gusto. You know what I mean? Because those ideas are going to change and shift and all of that, And so they kind of posited, like, would you rather, if you were hiring somebody for hundreds of thousands of dollars, would you hire the person who was like really like funny and cool, or would you hire the person who had really good ideas and maybe was a little less cool, right? And the reason I bring it up is because when you hear the phrase vibe check, or if it's like not phrased as like a sales call, then you kind of think, oh, I'm like just there to be charming, not to present ideas. So I'm going to listen more than I am going to present, for instance. And I think there is some of that to it, but this is a chance for you to wow them.
I mean, remember when we did like a month of development executives on the podcast? They all kind of said the same thing about who they buy shows from.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was never like, it was a must-have script and idea. It was always a must-have showrunner and writer. It was like, we don't care what they wrote for this. Like maybe we have a million notes. Maybe the network would never air it. Maybe there's these issues, but we want to see, is this a person that has just a million great ideas, that is awesome constantly talking, that is constantly thinking, that is a great storyteller, that's captivating in a room, that can motivate a team of people to make a show. And you're hiring the person, not buying the show. Like when you buy a show, you're really buying the person. And so I think kind of you're saying the same thing when we have these vibe checks. It's not like, are you cool? Oh, you surf, I surf.
Yeah.
That may be part of the conversation.
Well, but vibe check makes it sound like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's
not just a date.
Right. It is like, is this person, well, first of all, everyone has a different vibe. So
sure,
that there's no rule. You might fail the vibe check. I've failed a vibe check.
Really?
Many vibe checks. I remember the very first one was for this Joybird campaign. And I was like, I just didn't know what to talk about. I actually came with some ideas about the creative. They sent me some scripts, but I just felt like there was one person from the agency that really didn't like me. They didn't like my ideas on casting. They didn't like the things I laughed at or didn't laugh at. It just felt like they didn't like me. And then lo and behold, they're like, hey, they're not going to have you pitch on it, which totally fine. But, it's offensive, but like
sure,
to fail the vibe check. But
no, it's not the ideas. It's the personality.
That's the person. Yeah. No, but I think a lot of people fail the vibe check because they act like the job is too easy, or too cool. Oh, I've done this a million times. This will be easy. Yeah, just put a camera on a steady cam. I'll just follow her around and it'll be great.
But like being specific, like, really voicing like, hey, I've thought through, these are the things that are going to be challenging and these are the ways that I'm going to fix it. I think is really, really smart.
Yeah. Or just like, these are the things, ooh, this is super cool. Or have you guys seen this? I always talk about on those things, like it's always a mix. I think we talked a little bit about this off mic, but a mix of kind of pop culture, like, oh, what's going on in the world? Like, hey, like, how's it going? I told you my stupid Zoom trick, which is like, I guess where people live, like, especially like in LA or New York, like what neighborhood they're in based on their Zoom background, which I think is just like instantly like
a fun parlor trick.
And then of course, if they're in Cincinnati.
Are you familiar with the game GeoGuessr? Oren?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like, I think you kind of like if someone is in Cincinnati, it's like, oh, my wife's from Ohio and this and this. It's great. Like when we start talking about that stuff, like sometimes my dog will just be randomly in here, and sometimes if I can tell or sense that they have young kids, then I'll be like, my kid just came home and everyone in their class has COVID, whatever it is.
It's a really good opener, everyone. Use that one.
Yeah. And then just cough a lot and say, I can't wait to see you on set. No, but I do think like just that kind of, to me, it's like the Larry David stuff that people love that I love to talk about. And some, everyone's different. Everyone has their own little thing, but that ability to be comfortable with someone is important. And that I'm working on this job right now. It's a pretty big job for me, and the producer who's
I'd say pretty big job, period. Like, I don't know. It's pretty big.
It's in the 2 comma club.
Yeah.
But my producer said to me about the creative director, he's like, her initials are KG. He's like, oh, you've worked with KG before, right? The creative director. And I was like, no, that's my first time. He's like, really? You guys like act like you guys have known each other forever. And I was like, well, yeah, because we did a vibe check, and then we did a creative brief, and then we did a pitch, and then we hired you. So by the time you came on, like, I've already like had so many conversations with her, and like we've talked about so many ideas, and she's like shot things down. And I even like during my creative brief with her after the vibe check, I was like, how did your other vibe checks go? like just talking about the idea of vibe checks, which is kind of a silly thing, was fun. And she's like the type of person that enjoys talking about the process as much as whatever we are creating, So, and I don't know. There's all these commercial directors you and I love, like a Michel Gondry, for instance. We've never met, but like, do you think on a vibe check he's like, oh, hey, the weather's great and my kids just got out of school? Or do you think he's like, I had this idea of a
I dreamt
upside down.
Yeah. We are underwater.
He's French.
Boy, we're doing really, really bad French.
Ooh la la.
Yeah. There goes all of our European listeners. I think that there is a class of director where their celebrity really just overshadows all of that other stuff. Whether they're a commercial director or especially like a Hollywood traditional director, I think they're really,
Well, remember I told you that story? There's this director, his name is Rosie, that I had drinks with, and he was telling me about another director that's like kind of famous. I'd say about 38% of our listeners have maybe heard of him, maybe a little less, but he's kind of famous. And he got on a call. He had witnessed one of his calls, and he got on this call with the agency, and he was like, hey guys, I'm really busy, but I'm having dinner. I'm having like these famous people over for dinner. He didn't say famous people. He named the people, like on Friday night, because I like to, I do these dinner parties. You guys should come. He like literally invited the agency to this dinner party at his house. He didn't talk at all about the project. And they're like, I'm gonna go hang out with these like A-list Hollywood celebrities at a dinner party, and we will give him the job. So sometimes that's the vibe, and that's a little hard to compete with.
But, some people are good at their own dinner parties.
Dude, I remember I told you about this, and I think it's okay to tell this story. I'll leave a few details out, but Vince, who's like one of the founders of Art Class, he was pitching on a job, and then he ended up becoming unavailable, and they were like, oh, would you guys like Oren to pitch on this instead? They looked at all the reels, and they're like, hey, Oren, do you want to pitch on this job? Vince was pitching on it, but now he can't do it anymore. And I was like, sure. And they're like, do you want to hear Vince's call with the agency? I was like, sure. That's like amazing. Like the opportunity to hear a different director pitch, like kind of have a meeting on the same job that you're going to pitch on. And I listened to his call, and it was with a celebrity actress. And literally right off the bat, he goes, oh, I think this actress you chose is great. I'm actually really good friends with her. I was at her wedding and I think she would love it. She's like the perfect person for this thing. Like you guys nailed it. And it's like, I heard that and I was like,
Then you're like,
holy
well,
crap, what?
what?
I don't know her. What?
Yeah.
How am I going to come in? Anyway, I ended up getting the job. But those are kind of the different things that people bring to vibe checks, not to intimidate people, but just, it can be anything. And
I think this is actually maybe a good pivot into the next topic, because I think that I don't want listeners at home to be like, well, I don't know famous people, so I'm in trouble.
Oh yeah. By the way, I don't think you or I ever got a job from knowing a famous person.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for having them on our reel.
Some people are good. Yes, definitely. But some people are good at that thing and some people are good at other things. And it's really just about you figuring out what your superpower is. Like I was saying, I didn't lead with like, oh, I can write on this. I can help to develop this idea with you all. I'm very collaborative. I know how to do that. I didn't lead with that for years when it's maybe the thing that makes me the most unique. Anyway.
You're like, I'm so much better at prompting ChatGPT than like all these clowns.
Sure. And boy, I did see that being a prerequisite for gigs, for sure. People are bringing that up in a meaningful way, being good at prompting. Yeah.
Really? For images or for text?
Both.
Interesting.
Yeah. But basically, can you previs is another way of saying it. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, a producer reached out with a job that I was really excited for. I thought, oh, this is really cool. The creative really matches my vibe. And it's kind of a genre sort of thing. So, it feels like a director's brief, which I don't know that you say very often, but like a good number, a large percentage of our listeners would be like, I would love to pitch on this. This creative is so fun because it's paying homage to a certain type of film, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a solid reel for it. And I felt really good about my chances and found out today I didn't shortlist. Not the end of the world, but I asked the producer, I was like, hey,
and just to be clear, you didn't shortlist means you're not one of the directors that is getting to do a full pitch.
Correct. Which happens all the time. But I guess because between liking the creative so much and also feeling like my reel was especially apt for it.
Did you do the vibe check or no?
No vibe check.
Oh, this is not no vibe check.
No. Yeah.
This is just, hey, Matt, we'd like to send these scripts.
Yeah.
And you said, yes, please do.
And I said, yes, please. Heck yes. And then we tossed around some ideas on like what my reel should be and then went from there. So I found out today I didn't shortlist, but that another director duo that did shortlist from the same company. And I found out that they shot a proof of concept. They were so excited for this creative. They shot a proof of concept they shot one of the scripts basically. And I was like, oh, dang, I would pick them too. I'd shortlist them too, for sure. Well done, guys.
Right. Yeah. It is funny when you find out who you're up against and you're like, I would hire the other person, not me.
Sure. And oftentimes I think we'll do that thing of like, well, let me show you the ways in which I'm different from that person. I think with genre specifically, I think you either are a fan and know those tropes and know how to lean into them, or you don't. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have time to watch 15 movies from an era or something like that, But so I had a couple thoughts about it. I wish that I had talked to the producer a little bit more to know how close they were with that agency, because I'm curious what you think. If I know that they have a very close relationship, they worked with them a bunch of times, they have a little bit of inside intel, all of those things that make a company want to work with a production company, an agency want to work with a production company, that's all just positive momentum on our side. Whereas sometimes it's just a cattle call. Sometimes people are checking like, oh, you'd be right for this, but like they don't really have an in or any reason to believe that they would book the job beyond just having the right reel at the right place at the right time. And so I probably wouldn't shoot a proof of concept or write up a mini treatment or push for a vibe check if it was just a cattle call. But if I had figured out in advance that like we had a good shot, I maybe would have, especially for creative that I liked this much,
Yeah. I'm in a place where I would probably not ever shoot a proof of concept.
Yeah.
Unless it was something I could shoot on my iPhone in like 5 minutes, or if I had like one of my kids could do something and I could do a quick After Effects thing, but I don't think I would go all out. I would maybe, go to Midjourney and do an
Mhm.
image and click a video. But even that, I'd feel kind of as like a little cheap and probably wouldn't send that off.
Yeah. The video is impressive. It's really cool how they pulled it off. So
Yeah.
not to talk
But
about
I
things
think when
can't
you're
share with
starting
people.
out, like kind of doing that crazy thing, I remember when
I want to push back a little bit, Oren, though, because
Yeah.
I hear your point of like a proof of concept for something you haven't shortlisted on is pretty aggressive. But you will shoot custom tests.
Oh
You
yeah.
will
If I'm shortlisted, I'll do anything.
you'll go as hard as
Especially if I like it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I guess even if I wasn't shortlisted, I would, if it was something that I was super excited about, I think I
Yeah.
would probably try to do some, I would talk to the producer like, hey, how do we get on the
How do we do
How
it?
do we do this?
Yeah.
Is there a way we can show them this, or can you casually mention this to them, or like, who am I up against, or what's the thing? But honestly, I don't know that I've ever done it. But yeah, I guess just spending an entire weekend on that would be tough. To me, it's like a time thing. If I can do something in an hour or show them something unique, or you know what I did recently? I pitched on a job for Raid, the bug spray, not Raid,
Not Shadow Legends.
like you did. And the actor, it was featuring this actor, Brendan Hunt, who he plays the Coach Beard on Ted Lasso.
I've seen these spots since. Yeah.
So he's like kind of a comedian. I think he's kind of known in LA in the comedy scene.
I sat next to him at the Emmys, actually.
Oh, you sat next to him at the Emmys. He happened to take Pilates classes from my wife, and my pretty good friend, DP, who shot my first movie, David Rom, shoots Ted Lasso. So I was kind of, hey, I would love to get this job. I think he's really funny. Like, David, can you please put in a good word with me for me with Brendan? And then mention to the agency, like when I did my meeting with him, hey, my wife used to be his Pilates instructor, you know? And so even before like shooting anything, I kind of like already started trying to get my tentacles into this job. I ended up not getting it, but yeah, I think that's like an example of something I would casually do even before I got shortlisted if I knew about a job.
Yeah. I didn't tell you this, but the Toronto job, it's meant to be kind of like vloggy style, you know? And from my director's page, I went and like shot a selfie that was kind of like sort of evocative of the locale that the spot takes place in, and thought, oh, this is like a kind of my version of an Oren move. Like it's not a full VFX, you know, a test, but like early on just shows like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about this in a personalized way. I'm going the extra mile, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's like one of my things is like, I always keep my brain open when I'm pitching on something, and keep my brain open to receive images that are connected to what I'm pitching on. So like when I pitched on Canon, you know, I just did a second round of Canon Yeti spots. There's like a Yeti that likes Canon printers. But when I pitched on the first round, I went camping in El Capitan, glamping, whatever. And I saw a guy that had a t-shirt that said, I'm Yeti to go hiking or whatever, something like that. And I was like, hey, can I take a photo of you in your shirt? And when I pitched on this Target thing where like everything that was on sale, they were having this big sale. It's called the Circle Week at Target, 7 days of sales. It was like, we were going to make all these giant products in the store. Like, this basketball is on sale. And I did actually shoot a test, and I did a lot of work for that. But when I first met on it, I was in Thailand and I went to a mall and they had these like giant vegetable displays. And I was like, oh, I have to film I have to shoot a bunch of selfies with these giant vegetables because it seems related. So like, I'm trying to like will the job into like being meant to be. And I ended up not getting that job. But you know, I think like that's like part of our job is like to find a connection with everything, whether it's Heinz ketchup or like an autobiography about like the story of our parents coming to America, whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, love it. Well, keep us posted on other ways in which you can go the extra mile. I'm sure there are people at home thinking, well, boy, that's an awful lot of work to book the job.
Well, no, a selfie is not a lot of work.
A selfie's not, though I did clean it up a lot because I did spend a good 15, 20 minutes in Photoshop just kind of like zhuzhing it to get it right. But it was also, you know.
Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes isn't a lot. Getting a production designer to build you a set and then shoot some stuff and then rent a camera and then do some editing and then figure out the perfect music. That's a lot of work.
I hope to talk to these guys more just to understand
their philosophy.
Not their philosophy. It's hard because I don't want to talk too much about any of this. Like the spot hasn't, even been awarded yet, let alone shot and released. It would be like if Oren was up for his Rebel Wilson spot and he shot a quick little 15-second video on a European street shooting a flamethrower. Like, impressive and cool, but maybe it's like, okay, if you're like pretty good with VFX and you happen to have a couple props, it's not that crazy, but the stars really have to align in order for you to have all of the things at hand.
Yeah. You have to have a certain lifestyle where you're just like, got like, I still think no matter how you slice it, it's like 20 hours of work. And if you're a directing duo, maybe it's 10 hours of work each, but it's still a lot of work.
It's probably 15 hours of work each if you're a directing duo. You probably save 5, but only relatively speaking.
Before we end this episode, I did want to talk about one other topic that's kind of related, which is like, what if somebody comes to you with an awesome job opportunity and you can't take it?
Yeah.
What's your move? Because you're not available.
Yeah, that's a great question. So look, we're lucky we know a lot of good directors. I'm trying to think of when I had that problem last, but I would probably, put together a handful of people that I would recommend. Right.
So just someone out of the blue reaches out to you. Hey, Matt, we saw your reel. We found you on ChatGPT. We have a commercial. Mm-hmm. It's a $300,000 budget. It shoots for 1 day and 1.5 days in Atlanta.
And I'm already booked those days.
It's got a celebrity, but it's non-union. Yeah.
There's no wiggle room, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah. It shoots on March 18th.
I would probably be like, oh, well, here are the people who I know are really good with celebrities or understand this aspect of the job. You should talk to them, right? Is probably what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you have three options, really. Mm-hmm. Option 1 is, hey, I'm not available. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Option 2 is like, hey, I'm not available. Here's some really great directors that'll nail this. Mm-hmm. Here's their websites. Let me know if you want me to connect you. Option 3 is like, I'm not available. Here's some other directors. And you send them directors that you know are not or have worse reels than you, so that when they have the next big job, they'll still come to you, right? Yeah. Because isn't that the fear, is that they'll be like, oh, you weren't available, Oren, so we went to Matt, and now we only go to Matt, and now we hire Matt for everything. And you're like, oh, but I just wasn't available that one time. It was my brother's wedding.
Yeah, it's such a real and complicated feeling, because we have been that person. We've been the person on both sides of that coin. Somewhere early in our career, a company was doing pretty well, and someone had to go to a bachelor party or something, and all of a sudden they have a new director in town, right? And it was us, right? And we became the go-to person, and then we booked something else from a different company, and all of a sudden we got replaced. It is kind of the circle of life, and it's a lot harder to deal with that when there's less work, right? When it's really dry out there, that's really hard. When there are ample opportunities, it's a lot easier just to kind of roll with the punches. And so I think you have to be aware of where your career trajectory is relative to the marketplace, right? Like, it can be really dry for some people and really booming for other people, and vice versa. It doesn't just because the industry, quote unquote, is experiencing something doesn't mean that you necessarily are experiencing the same thing, which is a pretty tough reality also, But I think sandbagging doesn't help.
Yeah. Because then you just kind of have bad taste or something.
Yeah.
Or you're being a jerk.
And also karmically, I remember when Carlin first came to town, we threw her jobs when she was new in town, or like, oh, she started working at College Humor, and like, I put in a good word for her, right? And then her career took off, and now if she's busy, she'll throw me a recommendation, right? The Raid Shadow Legends is a really good example. She was busy on something else, and I loved that job, and it really helped my career in a big way. So I think that I understand why there's fear, but I think that ultimately the smart move is the generous move.
Yeah. Interesting. But do you think it's that bad to just say, hey, I'm not available?
I think that we're putting far too much gravity in our recommendations. I can think of a couple times where, someone has been like, oh, well, you should talk to Matt instead of me. But for the most part, when a company is reaching out to you and you turn it down, they've got 5 other people that they're talking to too. So like, do they even bother looking at your recommendations? Maybe not, kind of depends on the relationship. If it's a company where like they know you really well and they know what you're good, what you're best at, then it's a lot harder to like ultimately take their spot in the first place. One job isn't going to make or break a relationship,
Yeah. I'm kind of been doing this thing recently where I'll be like, hey, I'm not available, but what's the budget? What's the, like, how many directors are you talking to? What's the creative? And if you tell me those three things, I'll tell you if I know anyone that's right for it. If it's like a really tiny budget, I only want to like hook friends up with like good opportunities.
Good opportunities. Yeah.
And then sometimes it's just like totally not my brand of work, but they like reached out to me and I'll be like, oh, I know the perfect person, she like nails fashion. Like he is amazing at VR stuff or whatever, but if it is like perfect for me, then yeah, I mean, I guess it just kind of depends on the job, but
yeah,
I think I think you're allowed, I guess what I wanted to get out of this conversation is you're allowed to say like, hey, I'm not available, and you can just end the conversation there. But please keep me in mind in the future.
Yeah, we are in, I think, a relatively rare position to know a lot of good directors. I don't think that most know that many.
Yeah.
But I think that like Hollywood is built on apprenticeship and mentorship and referrals, and crew members do that all the time. Like they're swapping each other in and out. And
crew members are different. And if somebody asked me for a DP recommendation, or I would definitely give them like, like whoever, like, oh, this person tried this for, what's your budget? What's your this? What's the aesthetic? Try these for, like, I love recommending people that I think are really good. But if someone's like, hey, I need a videographer for my wedding, I'll be like, honestly, I just do not know those types of people. Yeah. So, good luck. Because I don't want to recommend someone that I don't like think is
you
great.
Can't back. Yeah.
Or that I don't think would want the job and that is doing me a favor by taking it,
Yeah. Yeah. You are putting your reputation on the line to a small extent. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely a few people, especially with our buddies at Sawhorse, where I've like recommended some directors, maybe even a few that listen to this podcast. And I'm like, wow, you hire them way more than you hire me now.
All the friggin' time. That's the circle of life, baby. You know what I've been contemplating, and I maybe have landed on something. If somebody recommends you for a job and you book it, I want to send them like a nice thank you and of some sort. Do you know what I mean? Just thinking about maybe a nice bottle of olive oil.
That does seem like something you would send.
That is something I would send.
Why not just send wine like a normal person?
Well, because not everybody likes to drink.
Come on.
And everybody likes olive oil. And it's a little splurgy. Do you know what I mean? Like a nice, like a bottle of olive oil that's as expensive as a bottle of wine. That's like the treat, like a finishing olive oil. It's from
if you get a bottle of wine, you just re-gift it if you don't drink it. But yeah, olive oil, I mean, it's people that cook care about olive oil. And there's a lot of people that don't cook, especially young people.
Finishing oil. You put it on a pizza, you put the dressing.
Okay. You do the olive oil. I'll send people amazingly fragrant hand soap from Home Goods that they can put in their guest bathroom.
There you go.
And we'll see who gets more hate mails.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to think of like, the thing.
I'll tell you, I have not gotten a lot of thank yous from jobs I've given to people.
You've referred me to a bunch of jobs, Carl. Like, I'm just kind of like, oh, wouldn't it?
I will take the olive oil if that's what you're offering.
I have some olive oil with your name on it. Okay,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
The funniest thing is when you think,
and then you'll be like, "Oh my God, this is the best olive oil. Thank you so much." What was I thinking?
Like you got that one job recently, and I was like, "Yeah, it's because I recommended you." And then somebody else told me they also recommended you, and then the people that hired you also like knew about you beforehand. And so,
which is that's honestly how it really happens. That's what I'm saying. Like our recommendation carries some weight, but it's really the stars have to align for it. For someone to book something this, but when it's coming in blind like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's all interesting. I'm curious to hear what other people think. Do you guys recommend your friends that do the exact same job as you for job opportunities?
In a highly competitive field that's sometimes scarce. Yeah.
Do you shoot proof of concepts? Have you done a vibe check? Please email us at justshootitpod@gmail.com. I also was just going to tell people about, it's Seth Worley's movie Sketch. I think it's probably on its last week when you hear this, but it's in theaters all over the country. It's like in a ton of theaters.
It's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
It's pretty cool.
And it's really fun. And there's so much behind the scenes kind of footage and him Like I don't know who shot this for him, but there's shots of him and his DP like figuring out the shots, like blocking him out. And it's really fun. And he's done all these seminars on the VFX. And
I feel like Oren Kaplan might be the person who is in the middle of the Venn diagram of all the different circles of marketing efforts for this movie.
For Sketch, yeah.
Yeah, knowing Seth, liking movies,
following like Red Giant,
Maxon, being a VFX artist, being like all of those things.
Having kids that are the right age to watch that
movie. You literally
yeah.
might be the avatar for who to market to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liked Mitchell and the Machines on Netflix. But so what's interesting is at the end of the movie, and I'm pretty sure Seth has nothing to do with this, but at the end of the movie, as the credits start rolling, it says, wait for like a surprise or something like that on the screen in the bottom left. And there's a timer. It's like a 60-second timer. And you see kind of the first main, kind of the above the title credits, editor, actors, writer, director. And then when the 60 seconds come up, the cast talks about this app you can download. That's like the movie is about these kids or this girl that draws these kind of scary monsters in a notebook to get over like kind of some depression and things. And those monsters end up coming to life. Anyway, you can download this app, the movie app, where you can draw pictures, which by the way, my daughter did tonight. It's pretty cool. And it takes the drawing and it turns it into like kind of a monster, like a colored in 3D monster. Here, I'll show you. Yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it. So this is my daughter drew this and it turned it into like this monster.
Awesome.
But the app, of course, makes you create an account. And of course, the app is created by Angel, the distributor. And then they get your email address and now you're like on their marketing list. And then they also release a lot of other movies, but I think they might have released Sound of Freedom, or they're like kind of part of that group that does like faith-based film.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Chosen. Do they do that? Angel?
I think so. I'm pretty sure they do.
But part of their thing is like, you can pay a movie forward. You can buy tickets for other people. So when I went to go see Sketch, it was like, do you want to see this movie for free? So other people have bought tickets that you can use, or do you want to buy your own ticket? And I was like, sure, I'll take a free ticket. And it's like, okay, create an account. I was like, okay, I'll buy my own ticket. But what's weird is like, once you use the AI generated monster like twice, you run out of credits. You can't do it again unless they give you a list of tasks that you can earn credits. Like watch the trailer 1, watch trailer 2, buy a ticket, do this, tweet about, and it's like, it's an app that is like a film marketing machine built into this app and an email list generator. And I just thought it's interesting. It is like, borderline sketchy. And I don't think our friend who made the movie would disagree, but it is an interesting and it's effective, I think. And this film distributor, Angel, has,
they know what they're doing.
They're now making these multi-million-dollar movies off of the success of their company. So anyway, I just thought it's interesting. So you should check out Sketch and kind of check out their whole marketing post-credit scene and tell me what you think about it. Or because I don't know, it's interesting. It's a really fun movie too. I posted on Instagram that I chose to see Sketch instead of Weapons for my horror movie with my daughter, and that my cousin's like, hey, I heard like a lot of Christian moms are like pissed off about that movie.
About Weapons or Sketch?
About Sketch.
Sketch, yeah, because it's an Angel movie. They have different expectations than...
Yeah, because it's a pretty dark kids movie. I mean, nothing that I would mind my kids saying, but they do say asshole twice.
Whoa.
Anyway, I don't know. It's fun. You should check it out. It is distributed by a faith-based company, but it is not at all like a faith-based movie, but it is kid-friendly. I'd say for kids are like 9 and up. Yeah, it's really cool. So cool. Sketch.
Awesome.
Speaking of endorsements, you got a second to do some? Because I have another one.
I do indeed.
Unpaid endorsements.
You're going to like this one, Oren. Sort of.
Is it Men's Warehouse?
It is available at Trader Joe's.
Ooh, I like it. Is it a restroom?
No. It is a non-alcoholic beer, which I know you roll your eyes at, but this one's delicious.
Is it called Athletic?
No, I've talked about Athletic, and I think Athletic is okay. But Deschutes does an IPA that's great.
Just Deschutes it?
And Deschutes they're a microbrewery from Oregon that I've toured the factory. They make great beers, and it's full flavor. It like, if you want, like, I'd like to have like a beer with a meal. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, especially if something's really salty, like tacos or burger, fries, all that stuff. Nothing beats a beer, but I don't always want to have a beer. And so the Deschutes IPA is available at Trader Joe's, non-alcoholic, and it's awesome.
Are these NA beers less calories?
It is 68 calories, which is hundreds less than an IPA. Yeah.
About 100 less, probably.
No, I think IPAs get real caloric.
Really?
Yeah. IPAs in particular, like a lager is like definitely lighter, but like an IPA can be.
A Lagunitas IPA is 190 calories, which is, it's a lot. But because to me, like the biggest reason to not drink alcohol is because it's bad for you, both from a like just, it's just a lot of empty calories. But
we talked about my other, I do love like a hop tea tends to be like way fewer calories and is delicious as well. Hoplark makes a great one.
Interesting. And it's alcoholic or no?
Not alcoholic. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Turns out alcohol has calories.
Big time. Kaplan, what you got?
I've got one that you're either going to think I'm like an idiot that I only discovered this recently, or it will change your life. Like it changed mine. Are you a Chrome user? Google Chrome?
I am. Yeah.
Do you know about tab groups?
No.
Dude.
Are you going to change my life?
I'm going to change your life.
Yeah.
I'm working with this producer. His name is Jonathan. And I was just like, sharing my screen. I was like, I'm so sorry. I just have so many tabs open. And, I have like 7, because I'm in pre-pro on 3 projects and post on 2 projects. And then we have the podcast and we have like the book I'm working on, all this stuff, all these different projects. And each one of them has like 7 tabs. Like here's 9 location tabs. Here's 2 casting tabs. Here's like a spreadsheet for our Just Shoot It episodes and whatever. I have so many tabs. And he's like, oh, don't you use tab groups? And I was like, no, what are tab groups? Basically, in Chrome, it's a Chrome thing. You right click on a tab.
I'm going to do it right now.
Add tab to new group and then name that group. Google Slides, I'm going to call it. Okay. And then it makes like a tab that is the name of that group. And then right click on a different tab and you can say add tab to, this one's already in a group, add tab to group. And then you can choose the name of the group. And you can just keep adding tabs to that group. And then you will slowly have less and less tabs. You click on the name of the tab group, it closes all those tabs. Click on it again, it opens them. So now I've gone from literally 80 tabs, like across like 7 different, because what I was doing is I'd have a window for each project and I'd like minimize them.
Yep. And then you open it up, but then you need to toggle between things. And then
you sometimes forget that you minimize the window. So now I just have like 7 tabs and each one is a tab group and it is awesome.
Awesome. That's really good.
Let me know if you get into the habit of using them or not. But they're really cool. But yeah, it's super easy to work with. And each group is a different color. So you're like, oh, my red project, my blue project, my pink project. Anyhow, very cool. If you guys have any endorsements, we would love to hear them. justshootitpod@gmail.com is our email address. You can find us across all social media at justshootitpod. DM us on Patreon or patreon.com/justshootitpod. I'm on Instagram. I'm at @okaplan.
And I'm at Mr. Madenlo across all social media, especially Letterboxd. This episode was edited by Kevin O. Yang, thanks Kevin, and produced by Tyler Small. And our social media is by Lily Bouvier. You're listening to music provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist Jazar. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye.